Hey everyone, welcome back to Automation. So today we're going to be getting a little bit different with the build and trying to do something based on a game called Neo Dash. Specifically, it's like Cyberpunk, but also neon, and I don't know, I just figured that was an interesting combo. It's not going to be exactly like the cars in that game, or any other game for that matter. It's really just my own ideas into one body, so we'll see what we can do with that. Full disclosure, the developer for NeoDash sent me a key to check out the game. No strings attached or anything like that, but I liked what I played of it, and so I thought I'd talk about it here. Okay, I must admit, I still don't know 100% what I'm doing when it comes to engines in this game. This is only going to be the second or third car I've made since the newest update. Since my last video, there have been a number of patches though, and things have changed for the better, I'm assuming, so I think it'll be a good time here. Let's pick this Ultimate One coupe body thing. It's going to be an interesting one. It's got a bunch of different variants. I think I've used this for something before, but it's just, I don't know. It screams Supra, but it also screams pretty interesting cyberpunk car, at least to me. Alright, let's go outlandish. Unfortunately, we can't increase this to the year 2077, but 2020 is as close as we can get. Let's go monocoque, carbon fiber, all the fancy bits. And engine, we have all of the options. I'm thinking front longitudinal, and we'll try to fit something huge underneath this hood. I'm going to quality spam the heck out of this, but there's also this sandbox tech pool. What the heck is this? I just changed them all to 15. I'm interested to see what that does, but I'm guessing it just opens up the possibility for higher quality, so why not? We want the highest quality carbon we can get. Now, the engine is an important part of this, although it's not as important as the actual style, at least in my opinion. Obviously, we can't do fancy electric stuff for like fusion engines or something like that, but we can make it a Boxer 6 for no apparent reason, other than I hardly ever make them. I'm going to go ahead and increase the quality of that as well. Let's just make a crazy Boxer 6, because why not? Pushrod Boxer would be an interesting one, but I think I'm going to go dual overhead cam, 4 valves instead of 5, so we can get some of that VTEC. We can go for an 8-liter Boxer, which actually 8.2 liter Boxer, so yeah, exact square 120, 120. This is going to be a very strange engine, and yes, I am going to turbo it. Turbos are the future. Okay, we'll mess with the balancing mass and all that later too. Yeah, it's been a while since I played this, so I don't remember how to do things, but we do have the AI tuned to make sure that we get things at least moderately right. I'm going to go... let's make it reliable. We don't need max power, we need reliability. So like 1500 horsepower intercooler, and then all this stuff will just stay where it is for now. Ooh, I love that intake. Oh, that is so cool. You know, it would be really cool to have this facing, or have this be in the back, and then have these like big intakes coming out of it. But I think I might be able to make something work in the front end. Manifold size, this barely makes much of a difference, but I'll just leave it here for now. We'll increase that as necessary. When it comes to fuel, I'm just going to go like compressed gas. I don't know. 150 RON is the highest that I've seen. I think that might be as good as we can get. Oh, this is a funky engine. I'm liking these big Boxers. Yeah, it's been so long since I made a Boxer of any kind, so seeing this is very strange. The intercooler actually blocks some of the intakes, but we'll just forget that that's a thing. Dual exhaust, because of course, and we won't have any of this stuff. We want it to sound as crazy as it looks. So we have a restrictive exhaust here. Might be able to get more power just by increasing that. The car makes 1700 horsepower, which is pretty bananas, without actually doing anything at all to the... wait, where the heck is the... Oh, it's the RPM limit is all the way over here. Totally forgot about that. But yeah, we're making, I can't even see that. I think it's 1783. This sort of crossover, I know that it's going to be difficult to sort that out, but that would be a great patch in this game. You can see if I increase the RPM limit anymore, then the headers explode. So that's great. So I made the manifold bigger. I think we're making 1920 horsepower. It's hidden behind the torque. We're still exploding, which is great, but it's not by quite as much as it was before, so that's a good thing. maybe. Gonna increase the fuel map a little bit. You can see our compressor is probably the biggest issue, and also pistons not having the best reliability as well. 6,800 RPM. We can probably do better than that. Yeah, maybe not, because switching to the lightweight forged will allow us to get higher RPM, but unfortunately it's at the cost of reliability with big torque, so I'm going to have to stick with forged. And that just means we're going to have a little bit of issue here, but also I'm not going to turn it up higher than this, so we'll just leave her right here. Before I do anything crazy, it's time to slap on a turbo preset, which is thinking about making something cool and also destroying the entire engine. 2,700 horsepower, almost 3,000 newton meters of torque, and 0 issues with stress. That is what I like to see. Now I'm interested as well. Let's tune the engine for power, just the whole thing, and see what happens. Actually, that's less. That's quite a bit less in terms of power than what I was hoping. I think we're at 2170. Interesting. And then once again with the race preset on the turbo, we're back up to 2,700. So the AI tune apparently does not really care about turbos as much as I would hope it would. But everything looks fine. I mean, we could definitely use a little bit more compressor. I think making that a little bit bigger will give us a bit more power. Let's be real, the curve on this is a disaster, but at 2,700 horsepower, I think it's going to be a bit of a ripper pretty much no matter what. And I think just by increasing the boost, we're up to 3,000 horsepower. And I can probably get a ton more. With ridiculous piston issues, that's a bit of a problem actually. Considering everything is the highest quality, what is wrong here? Yeah, so it seems like they've done a lot of tweaking on the torque limit of pistons and such, because going anything over where we're at right now is just going to explode the pistons, which is great. So it looks like I'm going to end up artificially capping myself at around 3,000 horsepower, which is bananas, but it's also definitely going to be enough. We don't need too much more. Okay, I increased the exhaust quality for whatever reason. I forgot to do that, and we're up to 32 or... yeah, 2948 horsepower. Again, hard to see. Hopefully they fix that small issue. There have been like 6 patches since the last update came out, so it's very likely that things will get changed. So I'm using Turbo VTEC valve covers, which is awesome. And just because it's complete blasphemy, I'm going to leave them on there. The actual VTEC sticker. What is this? Are we going to have fitment issues? Oh, with front wheel drive. Yeah, okay. I'm not going front wheel drive. We're going all wheel drive, baby. Alright, so we have nearly 300 horsepower to work with, and now we got to choose the actual body that I'm going to be using for this. This car has a number of variants, and you can see the sort of front end here shifts depending on which one you choose, including a convertible. But I think I'm just going to go for the first one. It seems to be the best. I like that sort of back look as well. To wing or not to wing, that is the question. I think I'm going to go no wing, and I'll add my own because we have to have something on there. The fenders on this can get wide, which is great, but I need to kind of chop them off at some point, so maybe I don't need them to be as wide as they are. I'm just going to shrink those as much as possible. Everything else, though, is looking good. I'm slowly realizing that this is kind of the type of car you might find on Rocket League, like what I'm about to create for you. But yeah, let's get into it. So if we're going to make something neon, it needs to have sort of a decent base color to stand out. I'm thinking just like a gray like this, high flake or medium flake, high shine, and then from there I can just add a ton of accents. It's not super dark, it's not black, but it is like a nice dark color. Oh my goodness, this is the most wild car I've ever created. Check out those wheel wells. Okay, so this is not going to export into BeamNG very well. I can already predict that. But right now, it just looks absolutely mental. We kind of have to pick a color for this, and so far I've just picked this glow material option. Looks great. I didn't even know that was a thing in this game. There's also hologram, which is cool, but again, it doesn't export into BeamNG. I know from experience. This might also not work in BeamNG at all, but I just can't help it with the entire underside looking like that. It's just way too cool. And we can make it many, many different colors, pretty much whatever we want, including this ridiculous yellow. This may go down in the record books as the ugliest car I've ever made, but I mean, it's subject to change. I might just drastically change this. It's purple and blue, and also very, very, very blue. So yeah, we'll just leave it like that for now and kind of see where things end up. But the wheels are pretty important too. I think a bit of a glow on these would be cool, or potentially just painting them just like straight up black. Okay, I changed my mind a little bit and I decided to make the tires glow because I just think that's really darn cool. So the undercarriage doesn't glow entirely, it's just the wheels and the trim for now, but obviously we'll get into that more. I wish I could have it so that it kind of like alternates between colors, but unfortunately it's seemingly just stuck at whatever I choose. So in this case it's like a cool ice blue, and I really, really like that. Before I go too mental, let's try to add some features to this. So first thing I'm going to try to do, and this is well, okay, this is probably a bad idea, but I'm going to make the wheels much further out of the body because I want to see what that looks like. If it doesn't quite look the way that I want, then I won't do that. We'll try something else, I guess. Okay, so we now have a significant offset, which is fun, and also probably going to be destroyed by this next little bit. So I'm just gonna, I don't know, put some 10 speed. Wow. 10 speeds, why not? But I'm just gonna slap some like quick stuff on here just to get us through. And then I just want to get to the point where I can make these wheels huge and see if that makes any difference. Well, there you have it, I guess. That'll be our wheel selection. I made the tires themselves a bit bigger. Everything here is a hologram, so if it actually does work in Beam, which I kind of doubt that it will, then it's going to look absolutely wicked. But we'll do some stuff in the photo scene to try and fake it in there a little bit. So next I'm going to do the stuff that I like to do the most for these sort of vehicles. Okay, we have to fit that fat exhaust in somehow. And the engine itself is huge, so that's going to be fun. But let's cut off the back end and see if that can do something cool. So this is just a little trick called layer on the dog tape. Basically, I'm just making everything as cut off as I can. The entire back end of the car is exposed, and that's sort of what I want. This light runner car, as I'm now calling it, is going to get a little bit ridiculous. One thing I do want to do while we're here is the windows. I'm going to darken them as much as possible so they're just like straight up black. In fact, I'm going to paint the windows black because I don't want to see the like outline of the windows, the window trim through that, and I also don't really want to do an interior, so I think that's probably the best call. Also, I had this idea, I'm not sure if this is going to be possible, but the actual chassis, we're definitely going to have to hide that. Something like that, perhaps? I know that it's kind of a disaster in there, but no chassis means no weirdness. Okay, so I'll admit the very, very shiny wheels are distracting, but I have managed to do something interesting, and that is put a huge piece blocking some of the problems with the back end. That's basically what it's there for. But putting this here also gave me an idea. Obviously we're gonna have a lot more neon and stuff, but I just wanted to put a wing up top as well. That itself is a really cool look, but you know we gotta do more. So this has become a bit of an unholy abomination, but I have created the splitter within the car setup, which is now before you. The reason that splitter is back here is because I want to have something to block the view of the engine. That's literally all that it's there for. However, these back ones with the backlit exhausts, yeah, that's at least semi-functional. Pretty cool though, I think it's going to be pretty darn wicked. I've spaced out the wheels considerably, I've changed the back end here, we're not going to have any door handles or anything dumb like that. Next is the front end, and then the sides maybe? It's coming along. It's not a super complicated design, but it is one that I'm very pleased with in terms of elegance, so let's see what I can do. Oh yeah, so this car may have the coolest rear light I have ever put on a vehicle. Basically, it's just like a regular tail light, but wrapped around the entire body, made translucent at the back, And yeah, this is it on. It looks pretty darn wicked. I think without it on, it's probably invisible. Not totally sure, but it's looking really good. Really, really pleased with the way that looks. This side, well, it's got some work. Oh my goodness, I had such a bad idea, but it's kind of working out. This is a top that's not supposed to be on here at all. And I have placed it on here in a very, very sketchy manner, as you can see. And it's not terrible. Honestly, it's not that bad. There's a big scoop on the back from where you can see that I've cut the body lines, but like, okay, this has taken this car from, it's okay, to, wow, that is just absolutely nuts. And I'm definitely on board for that ride, so let's keep it up. I know that this is a controversial twist, but I kind of want to stick with it, so I'm going to. It really looks like a Hot Wheels car now, and I'm definitely here for that. I think, well, I tried to make it a little more narrow, but maybe just a little bit too narrow in some places. The whole like dividing line that brings it together is really awkward, but this is such a strange vehicle now. I don't know what to think of it, and it's gone completely off the rails from where I thought I'd be, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Honestly, it's so far off the rails that I'm going to quickly go into the front and change the offset back to normal just to kind of see where we're at with that, because if I put the offsets back, is it going to be too normal now? I can see you crying right now, like, why did you ruin it? Don't worry, that's where creativity comes from. You gotta be able to take risks, otherwise, I mean, what's the point? I'm putting these big trailer fenders on here too. I really just like the way that they look. I'm hopeful that we can get them to kind of flow in with the body, because now that my design brief has changed so drastically, I think it's time I did something else drastic too. May as well just do some funky stuff while I'm here. I guess this is what I'm talking about when I say that it's like my own universe almost. Like, I literally just make these builds up as I go. It's all about having a rough idea and then just kind of figuring it out. Like, originally I wasn't going to do fenders because I was going to have the wheels stick out, but now I'm thinking fenders because why not? If the wheels are going to be back in, which I think they should be, then we may as well just go with this. Okay, I should probably finish this before I go too crazy, but I just have to make a couple small adjustments. Some of the things that I was messing with before have modified themselves, basically, because I changed some other things around. However, we need to get that back, and we need to fix these as well. I was gonna go crazy with all these like side vents and stuff, but I kind of find it to be perfect the way it is. Will this actually go into BeamNG? Probably not, but let's enjoy it while we can in automation. I've also gone for Supra-esque headlights, but obviously with my signature blue. And then we have a gigantic headlight on the bottom, if you didn't see that before, with the tail light as well. So that's looking pretty darn good. We have glowing exhaust because I think that's cool, and the trim on this is now glowing. And the windows blacked out. So definitely a very, very unique car, and one of the weirder ones I've ever made in this game. I'm very impressed with myself. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. What should I change, or what should I add? I don't know. I think at this point it's pretty much set. I'm very curious to see what 3,000 horsepower does in BeamNG, but first we're gonna have to get through the actual building of the chassis and the drivetrain, and also naming and all that. So bear with me for a moment, let's get through it. Okay, I added a little cool piece here. This is basically just like a floating fin, basically just made by making the edge of a piece all like glowing and then the actual piece itself transparent. So I think that looks really, really cool, and I probably should have used that more on this, but pretty ridiculous car. We may as well give it some ridiculous specs too. Let's see how we're doing here. Nothing at the moment, probably because this stuff ain't done yet. 305, 325, and what do we got for brakes? Let's just give it like decent stuff. Pretty much the best that I can, other than having it be absolutely ridiculous. Although, let's be honest, this thing is absolutely ridiculous already. Full interior, let's get rid of those seats, and we'll just go like, I don't know, handmade luxury. That's probably heavier, but it doesn't really matter. With 3,000 horsepower, I think I'm going to be fine pretty much no matter what. Okay, so we have a lot of tuning options and things. I'm going to lower it as much as humanly possible. We could go lower with advanced settings, but I think that sort of low right there is good enough. A lot of small problems, which is fine. We got some short gearing and stuff to fix. Yeah, 606. I think I can increase that a little bit. Brakes are a little weak. I'm just going to make the fronts as large as possible, and then the backs as big as necessary. That's just a generally good technique, but obviously you want bigger rotors if you want to get rid of brake fade. So this is strange. We have the front brake force and rear brake force are both too high according to that, and then also the critical error is that they're suffering from brake fade, so they need to be bigger. we're at this point where I need to like shrink the brakes and increase the size of the brakes at the same time. Okay, I'll admit this is not my best effort when it comes to the tuning, but I think it's going to be decent. It should be fairly quick, which is pretty much all that matters. That top speed is going to come up real quick at 520 kilometers an hour. Yikes. 10 speeds, by the way, that's a new one, but we'll see how that works out. 3,000 horses, all-wheel drive. Will this thing even export into BeamNG? I'm not so sure. So let's take a look at it in the photo scene first. Oh yeah, this is a cool thing that they added to the game where you can show your car. What is wrong with this, by the way? But you can try and show your car. Oh my goodness. In real life, kind of. Mine looks like garbage. There's something wrong with the camera. Oh no. So the latest thing has absolutely destroyed the camera for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but even like the default settings are just not even close to what you would expect. Like, I guess we can go 720p, that's a good 16:9 resolution, but 1080p isn't even on the list. Like, what's happening? Okay, thankfully I can make it reasonable, although it seems like there's something going on with the depth of field. Whatever the case, I'm sure it'll be fixed eventually. Yeah, let's take a look at this car. So this is what the car looks like with all of the lights off. Still pretty good, actually. The blue comes out nice. It's like a nice neon, so I'm happy to have that, even without the like super obvious glow that was going on in the game itself. But as soon as we turn on, if we go to cars and then we go to lights, we can turn on the headlights, we can turn on the tail lights, we can also crank up the brightness of them, which we will do there. You can also set this to like 500 or more and just have it be ridiculously bright, but that's going to mean that we get the cool brake light effect too. Oh yeah, no, this thing is wicked. Okay, let's try it out and see if it works in BeamNG. I'll get back to you. Okay, so the car works in BeamNG. The paint stuff just goes white, which actually doesn't look too bad either. The purple, blue, white combo is not terrible. This is a very, very, very strange car, and I haven't heard it drive yet. But I did notice as soon as I came in here that the back wheels flicker and wiggle like crazy, probably because they're in contact with like 500 different fixtures. So yeah, if I had to do anything differently, I think I would have cut out the bottom of that fender piece there just to kind of tie it in, and then cut the rest of the wheels out too. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, the car, oh my goodness. If it would drive, it sounds pretty ridiculous. So ESC was causing me to not be able to accelerate. There we go. And the back wheels unfortunately explode, but oh, would you look at that, BeamNG has motion blur now, huh? No wonder I had to update my graphics settings. This is strange. But the noises this thing makes are just insane. Okay, it's too bad about the wheels. I think, well, we might be able to modify some stuff in-game here. Okay, after messing around with the settings a little bit, you know, we can also do some crazy stuff with engines now in BeamNG, using automation stuff, including having heavy-duty internals and high performance. Like, basically we can crank up the horsepower of these things to even further ends. Currently it's running compressed gas, which is, again, nuts, but I'm glad that the game actually recognizes it. We can take off ESC if we want to. We can upgrade this stuff, have no turbos, I guess. I'm not sure if that would do anything good. Or change the gearbox into a 6-speed sequential as an example, because I guess why not? You can adjust it basically the same way that you can a BeamNG car now, which is really cool, and I will be messing with this at some point. Oh yeah, we can change the final drive ratio as well. In the tuning section, we can add downforce, take away downforce, take away weight in fuel. I guess we don't really need that much. What I want to do though is, we can change the torque split as well. We can go all front or all rear, but I want to modify the tire pressure. It's currently like 26. Let's make it 20. Ooh, whoops. Let's make it 20 at the back just to see if that stops them from exploding instantly. Okay, 5 psi actually makes them stay, so we'll see if that does any good for me. It basically means that the bottom of the car is sitting on the ground, but I'm happy to be able to even have these settings. Oh, it actually stays. Okay, that's a good sign. I have mildly fixed the car and then immediately broken the car. Wow, that explodes pretty good. Yeah, so it's something with the tire pressure that was causing it to burst, or my desire to smash into things, I guess. That seems to be a reality too. Yeah, for whatever reason, I guess the transmission selection I have is just not good for the absolute ridiculousness of this engine, because it is struggling to shift gears on time. I also just noticed there's a big split down the middle of this roof that I put on my car, and I'm kind of wondering if that is something that it means that I accidentally duplicated it. But I mean, mistakes aside, this car rips extremely hard. Now that I have the tires flattened at the back, it is extremely fast, as you can tell. I'm liking the way this thing sounds too. Big boxer engine is strange for me, but yeah, no, this car, way better than expected. But guys, I'm gonna have to wrap things up here. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments and what you want to see me build next. This build was actually inspired by a comment. Somebody was like, hey, build a Cyberpunk car, and I was like, you know what, that is a great idea. So if you have any more ideas, then shoot them my way. I do have some other things coming up, including but not limited to some very dumb stuff that I'll probably release to the join button members first, which leads me to my next segue. I have a Patreon of sorts. Basically, the join button membership on YouTube is my Patreon, and if you're looking to support me a little bit extra, that's the best way to do it. There are quite a few supporters right now, and soon I'll be reading off their names in this video. So I just wanted to let you know, though, I know things are hard these days and the economy is not good. I've made a cheaper tier on my join button, so if you weren't able to support before, it's now $1 at the lowest tier. So yeah, anything is appreciated. I'm not out here begging for money or anything like that, but if you want to support me extra, that's the way to do it. And soon I will have some extra videos for those people with that membership, and I'll also be putting out videos early, at least ideally. We'll see if I can get that working with my schedule, but obviously more updates posted on the Discord and in the community channel for that specifically. So yeah, let's wrap things up with this car, smash it directly into a wall, and then that'll be that. You know what? Pretty good, all things considered. Oh man, I got a lot of things to explore in BeamNG now that everything's changed. As previously mentioned, I just want to take some time to thank those who have chosen to support this channel. I've changed the names of the groups, and I hope you're okay with it, from Advanced Supporter and Supporter. It is now V8, i4 Turbo, and i4, because we're a car community, okay? I like engines. I'm assuming you like engines too. Let's stick with it. So if you want to be a V8, you get your name shouted out at the end of the credits here. We have Overlord, QT Bear, Terry01, J. Pope, Davis Heister, the German Dude, Nat64, Sinlab, Badger, Phoenix Shark, Baja Blast, Trevor Cousin, Goofy Plays, and Jared Gregg. Thank you everybody for your support. I appreciate it a lot, and I'll see you again soon, very soon.